Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jake, the Scary Story Guy, and today we're talking about a movie you may not have heard of, but might be worth your time. So come with me, let us enter the world of stop motion, a film that is essentially the godfather for people who like squelching noises. No, this is actually not a huge project. It's pretty small budget, bounced around a couple festivals, released in a limited number of theaters, but found its way to the horror streaming platform Shudder. This is not an ad for Shudder, not that I'm opposed to selling my soul for sponsorships, just hasn't happened yet. By the way, you guys can make that happen faster if you like this video. Subscribe to this channel. Please help me whore myself out to our corporate overlords. So stop motion is the story of a young woman whose mother is a celebrated stop motion animator, insofar as such a thing exists. The problem, though, is that her mother's very old. She's got arthritis, which means that her daughter is doing most of the work, helping her to complete her kind of life's final project. Now, for those of you unfamiliar with the process behind stop motion animation, which I assume is probably most of you, it basically consists of making a figurine and taking a picture of it, and then moving it like a millimeter or two, and then taking another picture of it. Do this a million times, string all the pictures together, and roll them really fast, one right after the other. That's stop motion animation. Think Wallace and Gromit. Except, as one Letterboxd reviewer aptly pointed out, this is more like Wallace and Vomit, because our girl starts to make her own stop motion animation project, and things get gross. Seriously, this is one of the nastier movies I've ever seen, and I want to give credit to something that's maybe kind of unexpected here, because I feel like you hear that and you think, oh, disgusting imagery. And there's certainly a fair amount of that. Some of the creatures, figurines that she makes for her stop motion project are nothing short of abominations. There's also some pretty gruesome body horror going on here in the second half of the film. But to me, what deserves most of the credit here is the sound design. I mean, good lord, this is like listening to surgery being performed on a booger. It's the kind of movie that, like, if you don't watch it with headphones, or maybe you watch it on a low volume, you're just gonna be kind of bored for a lot of the runtime. Like, what's the big deal? But if you do put in headphones, then you're just gonna be frozen, like, for like an hour and a half. Lots of squelching, lots of moisture, things moving wetly. It's effective, I'm not gonna lie. It is effective. Stop motion is not a snack movie. It's also carried pretty believably by Aisling Franciosi, who might be best known to my viewers for Last Voyage of the Demeter or The Nightingale. There's a lot of stuff in here which could seem goofy in the wrong actor's hands, but she really goes for it here to such a degree that it helped me as the viewer fully buy it. She does a good job of capturing the hysteria of the creative process, the sort of mania that can overtake someone as they're working on a project that they're really pouring themselves into. I'm told that happens. Sadly, I wish it happened more for me. Usually the creative process is more like pulling out my own teeth, but that's neither here nor there. By the way, I did just finish my first scary story in a long time. I'll publish it soon, let you know where you can find that. Yay! But I will say, this movie's more abstract, more metaphorical than I was expecting about the creative process, and it does feel a little too enamored with its essentially one metaphor. This is not a think deeply for hours about what you've just seen kind of movie, even though you get the sense that it would like to be. And because of that, I felt like this could have used a more straightforward method of storytelling. I absolutely love the elevated horror trend of the last few years, not to sound like a total snob ass, but we've definitely seen a rise in what you might call the thinking man's horror film. But movies like this do make me wonder if maybe the pendulum has swung a little too far, and we're starting to carry this avant-garde vibe into places where it just doesn't belong. And I'm kind of disappointed, ultimately, because I feel like the idea of a stop-motion themed horror movie is pretty original, pretty cool. What I mean is that sounds like a premise that would lend itself to some really unique scares. I knew there was going to be some stop-motion animation in this film. Frankly, I was hoping for a lot more of it. I guess it's just frustrating to see a cool, fresh concept go underutilized. Far better, I thought, was the film's use of a particular character. It's this little girl who lives in the same building as the protagonist, and she starts coming around more and more to help out with this stop-motion project. She's actually one of the creepiest things about this movie. I felt like it might have been the strongest performance in the movie. It's certainly, her scenes are where the script felt the most, like, robust. Now, fortunately, stop motion is only 90 minutes long, which is the exact right length for a horror movie. Unfortunately, stop motion is a movie where you definitely feel all of the runtime. I didn't finish being like, wow, it's over already. The final 30 minutes are a breeze. Things get a little dicey towards the end. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but you're definitely not gonna be bored. The first hour, though, I would say it's mostly carried by, like I said, extreme amounts of squelching. some moody faces. There's a scene where a girl takes LSD that I swear to God was half the movie's runtime. And so I think ultimately stop motion is a film where your mileage is really, really gonna vary. It just depends on what is important to you personally. This is pretty evident in the Rotten Tomatoes scores. Critics gave stop motion 91%, audiences only 49. If you're looking for a horror movie that's straightforward, that's fast-paced, where it feels like the horror elements are meant to be the main attraction, I would maybe look elsewhere. But on the other hand, if you're looking for a fairly unforgettable viewing experience, something a little more artsy, you know, an extended metaphor about creation as an act of torture, and again, guys, I cannot emphasize this enough, lots and lots of squelching, then this might be the movie for you. Ultimately, I'm glad I watched it. Wouldn't say I'm rearing to fire it up again anytime soon, but it was worth the investment. So I'm gonna give Stop Motion 3 stars out of 5. All right, guys, as always, stay tuned for more spooky content coming soon. Like I mentioned earlier, I just wrote another horror story. Won't give away too much, but it takes place in the catacombs. So I will publish that soon, maybe throw it up on Reddit. Might ship it out to a couple podcasts as well, so I'll give you guys the link if it gets picked up anywhere. And we've also got some interesting new horror films dropping this summer. We've got Longlegs, Quiet Place, new Shyamalan. The excitement continues. But in the meantime, thank you for watching this video, and here's hoping you survive to see the next one.